It's the podcast guy.
Sutton United talked on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United, the National League, are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast, the Sutton Podcast. I'm your host Mike, and today joining me on the panel we have Jenny returning and a new boy called Ali. So we'll catch up with him in a moment. We're going to be talking about the Tranmere match and look forward to the Salford game. Don't forget you can help the costs to support the show with one-off donations or regular subscriptions by joining us on Patreon. If you want to know more, look for the support us page on the website, which is suttonpodcast.com, or you can drop me a message by email or any of the socials, which is at Sutton Podcast. Thanks to everyone who has supported in the past, and a big thank you to those who currently still are, which is Ken and Mark at the moment. So we're going to get started in a sec. Can't wait to share the panel's thoughts, but we'll hear from them in 2 seconds. And we're just going to start with Jenny. Hello, Jenny. How are you?
I'm fine. Recovered from my trip back last night.
Lovely. So last time we spoke to you was ironically the last Tranmere match, which was back in October at our place.
Yep.
So what have you been up to since?
Me? Well, October. Well, we had 3 wins out of 3 at Christmas and New Year. That's good. So no, been watching the team and travelling around, and grateful that they're actually really, we've all got the injuries back now and got a full team out. All looking good. All looking
Excellent. Good. And just to anyone who's not heard you on before, just remind us a little bit about who you are and your Sutton history. Give Ali a second to come back because he's just disappeared from my screens.
Right, I've been supporting Sutton since I was 5. I'm now over 60. We won't say. No, I'm 66. Been supporting Sutton. I used to live in Hilldale Road, which is by the old plough pub, which is now flats or houses from what I see. For my sins, I actually live in Swindon, but have absolutely no connections with their football team, football club. Not interested in that particularly, except laughing at them every time things go wrong, or like they're still not sure. The latest update is I thought their manager had actually left, but it seems no one really knows what's going on, and Crawley are looking at elsewhere. So who knows what's going on with Swindon Town? But I'm still waiting to see, hopefully February the 14th at Gander Green Lane. I'm still waiting to see us beat Swindon, because they become a bit of our bogey team, but we got full team out now, and I'm expecting good things. So come on, Matt and the team, beat them for me.
I think we decided last time we're not going to have you on for the Swindon game because we didn't win, and we need to change something. So we'll absolutely.
If I'm that thing, do leave me off. Definitely.
Excellent. Lovely. And now the debut panellist. Hello, Ali. How are you?
Hi, Mike. Hopefully my connection doesn't drop out again like it did just then.
It's absolutely fine. So we normally do a little introduction. I'm sure you may have heard it. And essentially, people want to know, who are you?
So a little bit about me. I moved to Sutton from Liverpool in 1993 with my parents. I do have split loyalties through my family, so I do support Liverpool and support Sutton. I know that's a bit of a moot point between some people having 2 teams. First started going to Sutton probably in the mid-90s, I would say. I've got vague recollections of a pre-season friendly against Woking It was my stepdad's uncle used to take us with his kids to see pre-season friendlies down at Gander Green Lane and then a few league games. Followed them from sort of afar for quite a few years, going to the odd game here and there, the odd pre-season. When we were in the National League South under Dawes, took advantage of the cheap season ticket offers that were going on. Started going down there a lot more. Back in 2018, I actually relocated with work up to near Wrexham in North Wales. So I had to give up my season ticket, but then started going to any of the games in the northwest or north of England, roughly. And then last year started taking my son, who was 7, to his first Sutton games, and we go now to watch most of the games in the northwest. Obviously, we're at Tranmere at the weekend, we're at Salford next weekend. And he absolutely loves going to watch Sutton because he's got a lot more access to the players, a lot more access to the games. We can always go. And I think he just loves the whole experience of it with all the singing and the chants and things like that. He really enjoys his day out.
Is he not facing a 3-year ban after his pitch encroachment yesterday?
Oh, no. Do you know what? And do you know what? That was the one thing I would say. I know there was a few issues with stewards yesterday. That one steward, I don't know his name. All I know is he had a blue Tranmere bobble hat on. As soon as we came through and we were going to just go and queue up and get a pie and a drink, he said, "Oh, would you like to go on the pitch and have a photo?" Like to my lad. So that was a really nice thing. I know we've been to Tranmere before, and they've always been quite welcoming, and that was a really nice thing for him. It really made his day.
Excellent. You've touched on it very, very quickly. There's an incident. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Someone's clearly been having a bad day because we've been great relationships with Tranmere. But something went horribly wrong yesterday for someone. Don't want to talk too much about it because I want them to do the complaint properly, and I don't want to sort of give any. Unlikely they'll be listening to me, but I don't want to give any sort of. We'll just tweak our answer there because what I've heard is not what's happened at all, and it'd be nice for us to be able to go back and go, yeah, absolutely, that didn't happen. So I won't talk too much about that, or won't talk anything about that. We will talk about the match. Also, thank you very much for. I think it was 11 o'clock last night. You went, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
No worries.
Otherwise, it would have been just you on your own, Jen, doing all the heavy lifting.
People would have hated that.
So today's ladies' match was called off because of the rain. There's ums and ahs where people were like, "Oh, we're just protecting the pitch," but actually, it was awful. Rosie she was doing a me to me. She was sitting there going, "No, we have to stand in your spot." And I'm like, "Honestly, babe, it's fine. We're not standing out in the No. So we were just in the tunnel watching, and the ref came, and he'd already said that he'd lost the game this morning, and he really, really wanted to play. The girls came out, went on the pitch, and he sort of looked at them on the pitch, and he went, "I was going to get you changed, but give me a second." And he went out in his shoes and jeans. 5 minutes, he just come back and went, "Yeah, that's not happening." Because literally, as they were running onto the pitch, you could see the splashes of water coming up from their feet, and it's like they weren't even pelting it. It's like, yeah, there's no chance of this playing. And seconds after he said it, the rain started coming in sideways. It's like, good choice, ref. So you're like, So,
and it would have damaged. It would have created more damage to the pitch as well.
Definitely. The
little concern I've got is we're supposed to be playing one of Arsenal's side, I think, an academy side next week. But I'm reliably informed by my weather person, Mrs., who tells me, yeah, it's going to be raining all week. That's not going to happen either. But we'll see. We'll see. But on to the draw with Tranmere. When you saw the lineup, Ali, what were your first thoughts?
I thought it was a team that Matt had put out to go and try and win the game, to be honest. I think it was quite a strong side. Certainly the strongest bench I've probably seen for Sutton for a long time. There was lots of options there. If we did, as we did during the game, fall behind, there was lots of options to bring players on to try and get us back in the game and even win it. I might have liked to have seen Dave from the start, but that's probably me just showing a bit of favouritism. Dave's ability over Enzio. But overall, it was a team that went out to try and win the game. I think Matt probably realised that it was a game we could probably go and at least get a point from, if not take all three.
Yeah, definitely a strong lineup. I thought I didn't do my fan hub thing, but I actually got 11 out of 11. I remembered at 5 minutes past 2, quick, and saw teams announced. I was like, damn it. But Jenny, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when I, saw the lineup, I actually thought he wouldn't bring David in to start, because that in some ways would have been a bit unfair on the players that had played over Christmas, who'd done fantastic. And I was talking to because the fan zone is really good up there, and I was amazed at how many people were actually worried that David Adjiboye would start. And I thought, no, and they were saying, oh, he's going to score quite a few against us. I went, no, you got to remember, he hasn't played matches. He might be fit, but he hasn't played in competitive matches for quite a while. I said, yeah, he'll come on at some point. I'm absolutely sure of that. I said, but I don't believe he'll start. And that would have been a little bit unfair, I would have thought, for the team. So the team he put out, looking at it, you could say Harry Beautyman perhaps could have been in there, but I think that's probably his strongest team, give or take, that he would have put out, that he's been able to put out, the team he wants to play, maybe with the exception of perhaps Harry in there, who knows. But what a bench, though. God, it was great to see it. I mean, wow. It was back to them days last season, or that, when it didn't matter who we took off, we'd have exactly like for like who we put on. Absolutely brilliant. So I was really pleased with it. It's great to see it. Great to see that sort of lineup, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's certainly no disrespect to anyone else, but when you see Harry not able to get into the team, you're like,
yeah,
we're back at full strength here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I did say it all the way through. If we keep our luck and we get our players back, we're going to have a much stronger second half, obviously, than the first half. And yeah, it's proving good so far.
Yeah.
So the first goal, there was a hint of offside, I think. I've watched back the replays. Their players did seem to stop, but I think the right back, who you couldn't see on the replay, was playing them on, because they looked at the linesman, and then all of them just kind of turned and got on with it. So it wasn't the Tranmere players, it was more like their fans giving it that it was offside. How did it look there?
I have to admit, to be fair, on the day I didn't notice it being offside, but probably I was too busy concentrating on the movement of the goal, which was a nice move, good sort of one-touch passing, and a good finish by Ali. Really, it was a good goal. I didn't notice it being offside. If it was, I think they were probably just undone by the quick passing, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was. People were thinking it was offside, but I don't think it actually was, because I think the right back was playing him on. And their players certainly weren't complaining. Jenny, what did you think of Ali?
Yeah, well, because we're behind the goal, I'll be honest. Someone shouted that someone was offside right up the other end, and I said, "Come on, guys!" I said, "That is really where you have to, where we stand or sit." At Tranmere, there's no way, unless it's totally obvious. No, I just thought as soon as, when Donovan passed it across to Ali, it was wide open for him. They split him wide open, and I thought I thought, wow, unless he sort of fell over, I thought, no, that's a goal. You literally could see it, because the inter pass it, brilliant, and Donovan just slid it across. There was no one there. All he had to do was put it in past the goalie. So nice passing move, and yeah, I was really pleased to see Ali score that. And I never even entered my head that it was offside. Brilliant goal.
Their goal, their equaliser, was a good one. You could have done more, but I've watched it back. Now, I don't want to criticise players, because as Donovan passed it across for Ali to slot in, I've watched their first goal. I would say their second goal was a good goal. The first goal, even when I was there yesterday, I was like, clear it. And Donovan, now maybe it's because when you're a forward, you haven't got that, you get Ben Goodleaf, Louis John, they'll just whack it into row Z.
wherever. And I've watched it, I suppose because I was coming on here, I've rewatched it several times. And Donovan is really the person that lost it in that gave them the chance. And I remember even yesterday when it was going around, just kick it out. And I would, Donny, I love you, but I suggest that maybe because he was a striker, he just didn't. He was on the ball a bit, and no, too late, and he was, the ball's taken off him. And I thought, just put your laces through it, if they have laces anymore. But he didn't. And I think if he had just gone in like Ben usually goes in, or because Louis John and that, they were trying to do that. And then it fell to Donovan and he sort of tapped it. And so, as Matt Gray would probably said, a goal that we shouldn't have given away. So I was a little bit disappointed with that bit. But that's all. No, Yeah, well, the others do.
Exactly. And Ali, Jenny's already mentioned their second goal. What do you make of their second goal? That was a good one.
I think it was Hemmings who scored their second goal. Wasn't he? He's quite a handful anyway. I remember him being a handful last season. He's quite a strong striker, isn't he? He'll get right up into defenders' faces and put himself about. And he took the goal really well. He looked quite a threat all day, to be fair. Anytime he got on the ball, he was running at the two centre-halves, and he just looked like he was going to cause problems all day. And he's one of those players, I think if you give him half a chance like he had there, he will score goals. It was a nice take and strike into the bottom corner. Probably at the time they were a little bit on top of us. It was probably a bit of a bad spell in the second half for about 10 minutes where we just couldn't sort of keep hold of the ball, weren't winning any 50-50 balls or knockdowns. And you sort of had a feeling it might be coming, that they might create a few chances and maybe nick another goal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, someone said that yesterday, and I looked down and I realised it was you. It's about 10 minutes in each half, we lost our way a bit, and they scored both times.
Yeah,
I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I think that's how it was. I think we probably were the better team over the 90 minutes, but for 10 minutes in the first half, 10 minutes in the second half, we just couldn't get the ball under control. We were sort of not winning any headers, not winning any knockdowns. They were sort of wanting it a little bit more for those 10 minutes. I don't know, it was just we came out the traps quite quick in the first half, so we just tired a little bit in that middle bit. But yeah, it was a well taken second goal, and just that bad spell. But luckily we got back into it.
Yeah, and then Ali, as you said, got back into it. He did what we beg every week on the curver.
Someone have a shot.
Yeah, and see, you never know, do you? You never know that the goalkeeper might do what he did yesterday, which had us all laughing a little bit. Yeah, that's right. Shoot, just shoot.
Give it a go. But yeah, 2 goals for Ali. That's just brilliant. I think they're his first 2 goals. And I think he's come like second or third joint top goal scorer. That's how close it is. But yeah, I mean, how good and important is it for having him back? I know everyone loves Harry, don't get me wrong, but Ali just brings that little bit, and he's maturing so well.
Yeah, he brings a good energy to that midfield. I think he complements Eastie really well. He will put his foot in there if he has to, like Eastie, but he's very good on the ball. He'll run at people and try and beat people. And for him to get a couple of goals, especially after last season, I think he got 7 or 8 last season. For him to come back from injury and then get on the score sheet quite quickly after is going to be good for him, and it's good for the team as well.
Yeah, coming back from injury, all of our players who've been out injured have all come back ahead of schedule. So huge praise to the medical team. I've seen a couple of times when I'm in the office, Catherine kind of parks up and walks down to the ground and everything. I've mentioned to her, she was just befuddled. There's just so much. She was like, at one stage we were turning people away, saying there's no room, go away, come back in an hour. But yeah, they've done marvellously to get them all back in, and huge credit because the guys are so fit. You see the last 10 minutes still running and pressing and everything. I know Matt said it, and I'm echoing what he said, but it's really, really, really impressive. So we've had 4 fairly reasonable goals, but the general consensus for the match was it wasn't that great. So you guys were there. What was the match like? Take away the goals. Was it a good one or was it a bit dull?
I don't think it'll go down as a classic, put it that way. I think it was. I don't think the The ref didn't help. He didn't. I know we all like to moan about referees. He didn't give some blatant fouls, which were blatant fouls and should have been free kicks, and then he'd give some other ones which were probably not free kicks. And it wasn't just to us; it was to Tranmere as well. There was times where they had players fouled that you'd think was a free kick, and he'd play on, and then there was other times where it wasn't a foul and he'd give it. There was a bit of a melee at one point. I think one of their players tried to pick Eastie up off the floor after a bit of a hefty tackle, and he didn't really have control of the game. I don't think. He just sort of drifted along with the game, and the melee sort of gave 3 cards out. I think he didn't really know who to book. He just booked 3 people who might have been in the middle of it. But yeah, it was very bitty. Giving the ball away a little bit, both sides. But yeah, just one of those hard-fought sort of away games for us, really, and nice to come out of it with something.
Yeah, see. Jenny, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the referee wasn't the best, and in fact, because he seemed to lose control, I think, a little bit. The melee that they had, Eastie had gone down, and the guy had picked him up, and I actually, from what I saw, thought Eastie had pushed him over. I don't know, it might not have been him, but I thought Eastie had pushed the Tranmere guy, and I thought, oh God, no, he's going to get a red. I thought, oh no, Eastie, don't. Do you know what I mean? But I then noticed he walked right away to quite the other side of the pitch nearly. Yes, that. And I thought, keep away. So I actually couldn't see, but I thought when this guy had got him up, I thought he'd pushed him, and I thought, no, God, no, he's going to send him off, which I think may have changed the game. But he did. But Eastie went away, and the ref was sort of just booking. I thought, good. He's probably booked the wrong person, but at least he's only just booked them. But he did. No, the Tranmere weren't happy with him, and some of the tackles, he should have given, he didn't, and others he didn't give, and. Mind you, when we have had some good referees. I have to say we've had reasonable, but more than not we've had for. So it was quite bitty, and it was sort of a little bit stop-start. We were when we started. I thought, this is we started really well, got a goal. Don't know why we sort of let them come in. I do. Sorry, but it sort of was a mistake our end. Because. Donovan tried to sort of dribble it out, just get rid of it. And I think that gave them some impetus to, we can do this. And when they scored their second, I was a little bit thinking, well, we might lose it. I've never seen them lose at Prenton Park yet. And I think our goal, it was a goalie error. Our equaliser was deserved. That I think a draw was the right result. Yeah. But but it wasn't the best match I've seen. But then it wasn't the worst either. No. Draw, fair result. I've seen a lot worse. A lot worse. So wasn't too bad.
Excellent. So on the bench, we obviously made our substitutions. I did find it quite interesting that. The crowd were quite vocal when Omar was subbed. He got quite booed. He must love it.
Yeah.
It's Omar being Omar, isn't it? He puts himself about all game, gets under people's skin a little bit, and he's always going to be a bit of a pantomime villain for away fans because he does get stuck in and he's not afraid to. Sort of do the dirty jobs and do the dirty work against the defenders.
As you're thinking about that, what you're saying about him not sure about Craig, I think Omar, Craig and Kizzy should all kind of join together in a little circle because they look close enough that you're like, who was it I need to do? All the players should have the same haircut and everyone know what they're doing.
Actually, it's interesting. I was looking at Paul's photos earlier. Paul Loughlin's photos from the match, and Omar does get a little bit of rough treatment, and there was one particular photo you could see where the guy had his arms around him, the Tranmere guy had his arms around him, and we get nothing for it. In fact, all the blooming football I've watched over the weekend, I always thought, tell me if I'm wrong, being a woman, no, but this shirt pulling, this shirt pulling now in the penalty area when there's a corner, there's been sometimes, I mean, you know, it would stop if they started giving out penalties because, you know, when in the first half when we were shooting down towards us, I mean, this guy, the Tranmere guy, you know, give him your shirt afterwards. You know, he wanted, I think it was Omar, he wanted his shirt there and then. There's a lot of holding and shirt pulling, and the referees, they're not even interested. But some of Paul's pictures really show what Omar goes through, and you get absolutely nothing, you know?
No, it's, he's got a reputation. You see it again at Green Lane. As soon as he's on the pitch, I mean, when he comes on as a sub, it's always a bit of like, at what point is Omar going to get booked now? First or second challenge? But
that and Easty.
Yeah.
And Easty. That and Easty.
But
yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
Substitutions. How did they work? Were they? Did they have the impact as last year, as we're hoping for, or was it just a case of, oh, it's 70 minutes, Matt's going to make a substitution now because he doesn't do anything else?
I think I'm not sure they had a massive impact on the game overall. You know, Josh looked quite dangerous running onto balls. I think he was worrying their left back quite a lot because he was getting into that channel with Dave down there and putting him under a bit of pressure. And then Killian came on probably 10 or 15 to go, and for Omar, and he done a good job of putting himself about and you know, winning some important balls for us, and just generally just trying to put a bit of pressure on the Tranmere back four. Really, I wouldn't say they had a massive impact on the overall game, but I think it just gave us that little bit more attacking threat with Dave and Josh going down the right hand side and just putting their left back under a bit more pressure.
Good, Jim?
I do wonder sometimes if. I'm sure managers maybe aren't this aware, I don't know, but we all know at Sutton that come 70 minutes, normally it's Omar, 100% nearly comes off, and Donovan Wilson. The two come off and he changes them. He hasn't been able to always do that because of the injuries. But, you know, you could nearly put your money on that. And I mean, yesterday, if someone was going to come off, it was going to be Omar. For whatever reason, I wondered if he was worried that because of the booking and it was getting a bit feisty, that he actually didn't want to lose him and that he might have changed it, you know, because the ref was like he was. No, I'm wondering if managers, they see that and they can build that into their preparation when they play us, knowing or thinking they know that at 70 minutes, this guy's going to come off. So they, again, their own management and how they plan their tactics, because it literally happens every match. Be interesting at Salford, maybe it won't. But I nearly think I need to go down the bookies and say, look, between the 70 and 75th minute, no, but you can do it for corners and, you know, they
know.
Oh, right. But, you know what I mean? I just wonder, not that it should affect tactics, but I don't know, because Omar is a threat. Yeah. He's there to knock the balls. And I don't know, I've often thought, because it is very predictable. Very predictable. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Right. We are going to start bringing this one to a close. But before we do, your player of the day nominations. So, Ali, I'll have you first after the jingle. Don't worry.
Now watch me do my dance. I'm the player of the day.
Right, so because you've been on the first time, I'm going to give you the first shout. So,
I think it's got to be Ali Smith, hasn't it? I think he's the obvious choice. You know, scored 2, had a good game all round. You know, I can't really vote for anyone else. I did have a couple of other names that I could give honourable mentions to, but I'm sure you guys will mention them.
Yeah. Well, now you'll have a second one in a second. So, Jenny, who's your first one?
I was going to have Ali, but obviously that was sort of always going to be the case. I mean, again, I know he got man of the match last week or something at home, but I do. Ben Goodliff, you know, he always puts in a shift. And I noticed that just before the end of the match, when we had one like off the line, I mean, he was up there heading the, but he was up there and nearly scored. And he's at the back, so he puts shifts in every time, and he will lump it out. He'll put his body on the line. I was worried when he come back, sort of, don't do anything too, we don't want to lose you. But I'm not. He's okay. Yeah, but he's. I'll put Ben down for second one.
He turned, we were all going like that, clutching each other, going.
Yeah, put cotton wool, put him in bubble wrap. But no, he's fine. Yeah.
And Ali, your second choice.
I think I'm going to go with Louis John as one of my other ones. I think him and Ben had a really solid game. Don't think there was many headers or balls they didn't win. It was a pretty solid and dominant performance from the pair of them. I know we conceded 2, but I don't think either of them can be sort of laid at their feet, really.
No, excellent, lovely. Apparently it's Lewis.
Oh, yeah, yes. Lewis, yeah.
After I did the whole Christmas thing with Louis on Chewy, it's Lewis, apparently. So, yeah. Good stuff. And Jenny, your second choice.
Do you know, I'm going to go for one. I don't think he gets mentioned much, but I think he's brilliant, is Rob Milson.
Yeah.
I think Rob, he'll go down the wings as well. He'll put in brilliant crosses. If we have a penalty, he'll score. But he does a lot of work that maybe it doesn't go unnoticed, but there's a free kick, and he'll have to come down. If there's a throw in, he has to run across to that side. But because he's getting on a bit. I hope he's listening. Love you, Rob. No, but he doesn't give up, and he really fights for it all, and he puts in some tremendous crosses. Rob Milson, I thought played really well yesterday.
He definitely gets noticed. This will be his 10th nomination.
Oh, right.
Oh, right. He's up there amongst the higher ones.
Yeah. I think I know who win, but, yeah.
If I was nice, I would have said it's Ali, and then we'll choose one each, but I'm not nice, so that's why I made you choose 2 each. So. Right, so we will move on. Well, just before we do, league table. Has anyone looked at it?
Yep.
12. What's that all about?
I know.
I mean, with my normal Sutton pessimistic hat on, I've kind of went, well, hang on, if all the teams win their games in hand, we could drop to 17th. But even that, I'm still like, that's 17th. That's still bloody good compared to where we were a few weeks ago. What do we feel the next few weeks can bring? I think we've got Salford, a couple of teams below us, and Stevenage as well. But I'm quietly confident we're going to sneak into those playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
silence.
We're not far off it, are we? I think anything can happen, as we've seen with Sutton and in this league. Anything can happen, really, can't it, in League Two? I think it's a tough away game next week at Salford. I think they've recently picked up quite a good form, haven't they, and seem to be picking up quite a few points. But yeah, I mean, we're in the mix for it, aren't we? We're not far off. I think we 3 points off the playoffs now.
I think we are. Yeah, I think someone.
So if a few results go our way, then we could be okay.
Yeah, someone put in the forum we're 10 off third, which I thought was a bit excessive, a little bit. But even that is like, how we've had such a dodgy start to the season. How can we be in this position? But yeah, so Jenny, what do you think? Go on.
Well, I watched the highlights of the Salford match against Northampton, and they, yeah. Well, no, I watched it anyway because I thought, wow, they beat Northampton, because they're on a bit of a roll, and their second goal, Salford's second goal, was pretty good, and I thought, that's interesting, but I still believe any team can beat any team. Really, really can. Okay, Stevenage are on a real roll. I mean, but when we played Leyton Orient, it really was 2 errors. Mm-hmm. Guy slipped over, and then one went in and scored, and then an own goal which could have gone off anywhere. It's a bit like Swindon away, when it hit Louis John and gave that Welsh bloke a chance to score. No, you know what I mean. That's why we want them to shoot when they get near, please. As Will Randall did. What a brilliant goal he did, So if you're listening, Matt Gray, get them just to shoot when they see the goal. You never know. But no, in regards to the table, I'm nearly going to be not boring. I'm like this a little bit. It's like when we played Boreham Wood in the conference to go to Wembley, and I thought we weren't ready to go up. I'd like playoffs would be great, although we don't win playoffs, but I want us to consolidate being a Football League side, because I was talking to someone yesterday and I said, look, okay, let's say we go to League One. I said, we might survive. You know, your Bristol Rovers and Forest Green are not exactly setting the world alight. But if we went up and then came back down, in some ways it sets a precedence in that, you know, it's like we're on a good run. The team are really there. They got the spirit. I always think, you know, if we went up and then we came back down, not saying we would, but if we did, we you know, let's consolidate, because if you get relegated, there's nothing worse than that feeling when you get relegated. You know, fortunately, we haven't been through it too many times, but I've been through it and it's horrible. And I always think that could be a knock-on effect the next season. Some guys at Tranmere were telling me, because of that points per game when they would have had 2 promotions, but they went back down into League Two, he said that still really affected them. Just the relegation, the way it was done, but also, you know, they were moving on up and they've sort of stagnated a little bit now. If we got the playoffs, great, but I'm not sure. Sorry, I want us to go to League One yet. You know, I don't know. Is that a lack of ambition?
Well, no.
You know, be a league team, love it, but not sure.
Yeah, no. I'm very mercenary, and our crowds have gone from 5. I looked it up for something 10 years ago. It was 504 on average.
Yeah.
And now it's 3,000.
Yeah.
So a lot of those people are coming because we're winning more games than we're losing.
Sure.
If we lose more games than we win, people are like, oh, you know what, I can't be bothered, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
So, yeah, being at the top end, the nearly men all the time is probably better than having the excitement of one season and then dropping down. I mean, if we manage to do like the Fulham and Norwich model where we get promoted, relegated.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Once every couple of years, you at least have a promotion party. But I don't know. Ali, what do you think?
I think Jenny's spot on, really. I think, you know, we've got to consolidate our position as a league team. I think it's important to remain as a league team. And probably getting promoted at the moment, we're probably not quite there at the moment. I think we probably, you know, we would go up to League One and probably, like I say, being a bit pessimistic, probably would struggle in League One. You know, I think we'd end up coming straight back down, which might not help the team. And I think you're right in saying that, you know, people are there at the moment. They want to come and watch Sutton because Sutton are playing well and they're successful and they're doing well is one of the big factors. And if they go up to League One and they're losing every week, are they going to lose? People wanting to come and watch them every week, I think. I think we're probably better off in League Two at the moment, and just mixing it up as we are with the sort of big boys of League Two and try and, you know, if we get into the playoffs, it's great. But I think as long as we stay in League Two, I'd be more than happy at the moment.
See, because I just say also, I believe that because we did so well last season, some fans had unrealistic expectations this season because of where we were. And when we went, okay, we had all the injuries, but we went through the normal thing where we perhaps didn't start very well, if you want to put it like that. And some of the comments on the forums and the things, and we need it, and we, you know, and I'm like, no, we'd be all right. We, you know, I honestly thought during so far, we weren't in any threat of getting relegated. I really didn't ever think we would be near relegation, which we haven't, and it's not in hindsight. But I think if we went to League One and we were losing quite a lot of the time, you'd have all that, you know, grief to the management. They must see it, and the players, which isn't very good for them, because I've always said you've got to encourage, and it makes people feel better. But also, we will lose fans. we will lose fans, and in League One you can't afford. When we went through a bit of a period that wasn't good, I think I might have said to you, you might say, but the crowd, there was like 500 less than we might have got, and no disrespect to them, but some of us diehards who've been there years, we'll still go. We'll still go when we, if there were 500 or but there'll be a lot of fans who we've got on board. Then they're, we're not going to go and see Sutton. They lost for the last 7 games or something, and then the players get deflated. Let's consolidate and get, to get, like last week was brilliant, to get the 5,000. We don't want them going back down to Selhurst Park and all these other places, because our catchment area is never going to be. People think, oh yeah, and we could go to the Championship. You come on, it's a nice wording and leave one. But we haven't got that catchment area, unless they did something with the ground majorly. 5,000 is 100 is all we're allowed to let in. You can't sustain, and players aren't going to come for what we pay. I know we're a great club, but so no, consolidate, and let's see where we get in 2 or 3 years' time, or 2 years' time maybe. But that's not a lack of ambition. That's reality, I think.
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Players are going to want to come to a team that are doing well. One of the big selling points, I believe, is that we have that connection with the players, and the players can come here and they're supported, and we don't tend to get on people's backs because, quite frankly, if someone comes in and they don't do very well, what's the point of moaning? When you've done something bad, you look across the pitch and think, I had a great game today, and then go, oh, you thought I did badly. You know it. You know when you messed up. So.
Were you in, Mike? You weren't in the clubhouse after last Saturday's game.
No.
You want to see the reception that David Ajiboye got during the Strikers again? They were singing to him. You're one of our own. And he, he's a young lad, but he was chuffed because he felt totally loved, and you know what I mean. He had a big smile on his face, and seriously, he was glad to be back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's something I've said before about Eastie as well. Nice to be somewhere that they're loved and they're wanted and all the rest of it. But we will kind of bring a little bit to a close. But what are your thoughts on Saturday? Because we've got a nice little rest now, so we don't have anything on Tuesday. So, Ali, why are you still with us?
I know. I think I dropped out again for a second there.
So, what do you think of Saturday? Where do you think it's going to go? Take another point,
I think I'd be happy to take a point again against Salford. I think they've hit a good vein of form at the moment. I think it'll be a tough game. I think if we go out and play the same way we played against Tranmere, I think we're more than capable of taking a point off them. I think it's nice now. Like we've already said, we've got a really strong first 11, and we've got a strong bench to give us plenty of options. I think it'll be a hard game, but I think if we can go there and look to get something out of it, I'd be really happy.
Excellent. And Jenny, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd be happy with a draw, but if we can nick a win, be even better. And who's to say we couldn't? I mean, when last year, when we played Northampton this year and we're 2-0 down, and they got a cracking team, we came back to 2-2, and if it had gone on longer, we looked like the ones that would get a winner. No reason why we can't beat these teams at the top. If it's going for you, we might nick a winner, and especially with the team we got. But I'd be happy with the draw. Even yesterday, at the end, happy with a draw, and keep putting them points on the board. 50 points, we're nearly there. And then they can be let loose, But no, draw or take. But we're capable of nicking a winner, and that'd be great.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Lovely. Well, that's about it for this episode. Thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening. Let us know what you think on the socials, where you can like, follow, share, do all the normal stuff at Sutton Podcast. On your normal podcast platforms, I think is the word. Subscribe and leave me any reviews, because I think I've got 1 review so far. Oh, two reviews. So just leave me a review, but don't make it too honest. Next time we've got Mark Bravery and another newbie, so 2 newbies in a row. Young Harry is coming on. So thanks a lot to the panel of Ali and Jenny. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the Salford fan who I did line up hasn't been able to jump on, but we've managed to do a review without him. That's fine. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and thank you for everyone's time. Please do take care, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Cheers,
Thanks,
then.
Mike. Cheers.
Thanks,
now.
Mike. Yeah, take care.
United! United!